Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of A's List, the passion I will have for a month and then forget about once the Switch 2 drops next month. I whipped up a list of my top 10 favorite TV shows. I've never really thought about anything beyond like my 1 through 3, so it was nice to make this list. Really fun to kind of rank things of the shows that I've watched through different genres and different ways that they make you feel, and this list is arbitrary. This is just my favorite. I know there's other great shows out there, and my rankings are arbitrary, and this one and a couple other ones after this will also include honorable mentions and all that fun jazz, so I'm just going to stop yapping and let's get into it. This top 10 list includes an 11th show that I have put on the honorable mention list, and that is going to be The Office, US edition. Very important distinction there. The Office is an iconic comedy show from the 2010s with a bunch of heavy hitters that you still see in the industry today, like Steve Carell, John Krasinski. You see half the cast in commercials. There's been an AT&T commercial. Stanley is in all the Honey Nut Cheerios commercials. It's just an iconic show. Some of the commentary in there I don't think has aged super well with the political landscape, but it is just roll on the floor funny. Steve Carell's delivery is always amazing, and even though he left the show after 7 seasons, the supporting cast did a very good job of keeping the show together, especially Rainn Wilson as Dwight Schrute. And it's the favorite TV show of famous YouTuber Brady Miller. Yes, I have done this bit before. Yes, I will do it again. No, I do not care. Go sub to Brady. At number 10, a show that I just cleaned through on HBO Max is going to be Rick and Morty. I've always wanted to watch it. I finally got around to it a couple of months ago, and it really surprised me. It's always looked like a show that's just, it's the poster child of today's Adult Swim, where it's just a crazy storyline that you can barely track of just crazy chaos. But what really surprised me was the well-developed story that's traced intricately throughout seasons, and it really does a subtle, slow burn dive-in into the main character of Rick Sanchez. He is a very complicated man who has very simple coping mechanisms, but once you dive into his past, getting into seasons, 5 and 6 and 7, it becomes so much more fascinating, and there's so many more layers to it, and there's 5 more seasons planned. I think the next season, season 8, actually starts on Max very soon, or at least on Adult Swim, but Rick and Morty cracks my top 10 because of its amazing animation. The animation is fantastic. The roll on the floor, funny, raunchy, outrageous dialogue, and the way it tugs at your heartstrings every now and then. It'll surprise you. Number 9, Attack on Titan. My wonderful fiance, Gino, helped me follow some anime shows since we started dating. The first one she turned me on to was Attack on Titan. My God, am I glad she did. It's an amazing show. Nobody is safe. The world is basically ending. You are on the edge of your seat for this entire show. It gives you characters that you fall in love with. The character development is off the charts. You have characters you love that immediately turn into characters you hate. You have the slow burn both ways. It's just such a well-built show that stays very, very rigidly true to its source material through the, is it manga? It's manga that it's originally sourced from, and according to the fiance who is playing her PlayStation on the other side of this wall, it stays very true to the source material. So Attack on Titan sits right at number 9 for me. Number 8, Grey's Anatomy. Yes, this did crack my top 10. I was skeptical at first, but during COVID, when I was still dating one of my best friends, Patricia, we're still best friends today. This is back when we were dating. During COVID, she said, hey, let's watch some Grey's Anatomy. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't think there'd be anything of it. We watched one episode. I'm like, oh, okay, this is actually pretty interesting. And then I think we watched another one before I took her home. And I came back, and the next thing you know, I binged the whole first season in one night. And then I binged the whole second season in about 2 days. I cleaned through 16 seasons in probably less than 6 months. It was So captivating. Shonda Rhimes knows how to rope you into TV shows. She knows how to get you invested into characters. Mark Sloan, for example, in this show, I hated his freaking guts when he came in, but then he quickly became one of my favorite characters. It's the character development. It's the high stakes. You never know what's going to happen. I have not watched to the present day episodes, but one thing I will say, if Ellen Pompeo wants something done, she gets it done. To quote another one of my favorite TV shows, she says, "I'm done when I say we're done," because that show won't end unless Ellen says so. They will keep going until she's ready to drop. Grey's Anatomy, number 8. Number 7, How I Met Your Mother. This is such a timeless classic that I think is grossly underappreciated today. Neil Patrick Harris as Barney Stinson in this show is one of the best castings in the history of television. If you can get a gay man to play a sleeping around, famously bachelor straight man the way that Neil Patrick Harris does, and he does it unapologetically, it's like breathing to him. He carries this show. The supporting cast is fantastic as well, and it just gets you so invested. I watched it in high school, and I understood it and appreciated it a lot, but I appreciate it even more as an adult, because I've been through some of those dating scenarios that they have, and it's gut-wrenching, and it really eats at you and makes you think about how you're approaching your own relationships, and it teaches you to never give up on love and stick with your people, and it really tugs at your heartstrings, and it is just roll on the floor funny, mainly because of Neil Patrick Harris. Jason Segel is an excellent second fiddle who ties the show together very well as well. Everybody else does very well, but Neil Patrick Harris, Jason Segel do a phenomenal job. So How I Met Your Mother clocks in at number 7 on my list. Number 6, The Blacklist. James Spader is my favorite actor ever because of this show and some other things that he starred in. He also starred in the U.S. Office for a few seasons. He's also voiced Ultron in Avengers Age of Ultron, but I first discovered him in The Blacklist. I think my dad started watching it first and then recommended it to me. That's another show that ropes you in. And yes, it did fall off toward the end when, I'm blanking on her name right now, but the actress who played Elizabeth Keene bowed out of the show, and it really hurt the storytelling. I still think they wrote it off about as well as they could, and TV shows can only stay so strong for so long before they start to fall off a little bit. There is a drop-off, but if you look at the series as a whole and look at how everything is tied together so intricately through 8 fantastic seasons, it will just blow your freaking mind. And James Spader carries this show when the going gets tough in the later seasons. And the first 4 or 5 seasons are just edge of your seat. Holy crap, what just happened? Heart-pumping, show-stopping drama. It is amazing. I highly recommend it. It should be on Netflix. It should stay on Netflix for a while, even though it wrapped up a couple years ago. But Blacklist clocks in at number 6. Number 5, The Clone Wars animated series, spearheaded by our Lord and Savior, Dave Filoni. I was roped into this show immediately at the ripe young age of 6 years old. They started with the movie, which was an excellent transition into the show, and it is one of the only shows I watched growing up where me and my siblings would sit around the TV and watch premieres as they came out on Cartoon Network. I think the only shows that I did that with were this show, The Clone Wars, and Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. back when it was on ABC, the earlier seasons of that. But it makes the Star Wars universe so much better. It branched out to so many more great Star Wars projects. It introduced us to one of the best characters in Star Wars, Ahsoka Tano, who my sister absolutely adores, and flipped her lid when the Ahsoka series came out. But it is just immaculate storytelling, and when we thought it was all done, Disney said, nah, let's make one more. Let's just do one more. And it turned out so freaking amazing. Season 7 of Clone Wars The ending of that series is one of the best endings of a series ever produced on television. It clocks in at number 5 for me. Number 4, one that I'm rewatching right now, Ted Lasso. It does not matter if you are into sports or not, if you understand how the sport of soccer works or not. This show will get you invested into revenge stories and forgiveness stories and character arcs and dealing with real world issues. There's some not so subtle political commentary in there that really ties back to the issues that we face in the real world. Just this morning, I watched an episode that related to immigration issues. Sound familiar? But it doesn't push it in your face. It intricately weaves into the story and the day-to-day lives of these people who are just trying to better themselves and to better the community and the team that they're on. And it is the feel-good show if you need something good to watch. It's an underdog success story, and you'll love Roy Kent, you'll love Ted Lasso, you'll love football operations manager Higgins, you will fall in love with everyone, except maybe Nate. I don't like Nate. If you know, you know. Ted Lasso clocks in at number 4. My top 3, which I've had cemented on my list for a very long time. Number 3 is a bit of a hybrid because of the new episodes that have come out. Number 3 on my list is Daredevil, and by extension, Daredevil Born Again, because let's be real, it's basically the same series with a slightly different paint job. The first installment of the Daredevil live-action shows came on Netflix. It started as a catalyst for all the Netflix shows that came about it in the Marvel Universe. Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, The Defenders followed this, The Punisher as well. This was a phenomenal addition into the Marvel TV universe. It's slowly leaking its way into the MCU, but may I just say, the fight choreography, mwah, chef's kiss. In the original series, no CGI, all one-shot action. Some of the best fight choreography you will ever see. You get right into the mind of Matt Murdock with the dichotomy of being a good Catholic and a hero who knows exactly where to draw the line. And sometimes he pushes the line, and it's so captivating. Charlie Cox does a phenomenal job as Daredevil. Wilson Fisk, played by Vincent D'Onofrio, is also a very captivating character to follow. Whenever John Bernthal comes in as the Punisher, he plays him very well, plays a great villain in Season 2 of the original show. And then when the show reboots in Daredevil Born Again, it stays very, very rigidly true to the original series. They do use some CGI, though, which I don't like, because it doesn't quite go along with the main choreography of the first show, the fight choreography, but it is still one of the best shows on television. As a Marvel fan, it makes my brain go burr, and I cannot get enough of Daredevil. Daredevil, and by extension, Daredevil Born Again, is number 3 on my list. Number 2, probably the best fully made TV show to date, the date being May 16th, 2025, best fully made, produced, done TV show to date ever, Breaking Bad. You follow the story of Walter White, who is diagnosed with lung cancer on his 50th birthday, and he results to making methamphetamine to support his family when he is inevitably wiped from the earth from cancer. And you follow the journey from this mild-mannered high school chemistry teacher who just descends into absolute madness and chaos and just driven power-hungry by his quest to not just support his family, but become the best at what he does, making a drug empire. He poisons relationships, he turns into the devil incarnate, and even when he is at his lowest, he makes decisions that just make you sit there with your jaw dropped thinking, how could a man do something like this? Especially a year, 2 years removed from being a mild-mannered high school chemistry teacher in the middle of New Mexico. And the ending is just, mwah, best ending on television. It doesn't even come close to date, but we'll get into that with my number 1 pick. Breaking Bad is number 2 on my list, behind what will end up being the best TV show ever created, Stranger Things. I caught up to this show when I was in high school when the second season came out. I was immediately hooked. It starts out with these kids who are just a tight little knit friend group, and then one of them goes missing. And then it becomes the most crazy 80s nostalgia, horror, slasher, heart-racing, high-stakes adventure that slowly puts in characters. You fall in love with every character in this show at some point. The character development is peak. The deaths are cinematic and brutal and majestic and beautiful, and I am not ready for the emotional damage that it will inflict on me when Season 5 drops this fall. Stranger Things is #1 on the list. It does not matter how old you are, where you come from, or what kind of style TV show you like. It makes you feel good about the characters, it breaks your heart, it builds it back up all over again, and you just can't help but root for the good guys. So that's what I've got for this episode of A's List. Episode 3 is going to be my video game top 10, not sports included, because if it was sports included, let's just be honest, it would be 10 different versions of Madden, or football, or baseball. And then one other game at like 10. So let's be real, let's leave the sports off that list. But that's for next time. Thank y'all for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments. Here is the final list. Got Stranger Things at 1, Breaking Bad at 2, Daredevil and Daredevil Born Again are tied together at 3, 4 at Ted Lasso, 5 at Clone Wars, Blacklist at 6, How I Met Your Mother at 7, Grey's Anatomy at 8, Attack on Titan at 9, Rick and Morty at 10, and of course The Office gets honorable mention for just being a hilarious show, supported by famous YouTuber Brady Miller. I will do this bit until the day I die. Thank y'all for watching. See you next time. Peace out.